Hello, everybody.
Hey, it's Maddie.
And Amber.
And we're
Witches Talking Tarot. Which is, WHICH. It's a new podcast that is launching today. If you're listening to this right now, that means today is launch day. If you're listening to this on a date after January 11th, it's not launch day, so there's probably more podcasts for you to check out. But we're a podcast that is all about Witches Talking Tarot.
And other things.
Yes. Such as, we're really excited about the vampire episode, right?
Yes, we're going to be talking about different creatures all over the world, as well as different holidays, pagan holidays, pagan beliefs.
Right, different paths, different ways that modern pagans can celebrate in our modern world, because it's not obviously the same as it used to be on the things that we look at historically, right? So we have to
check out our next podcast.
But yeah, all things occult. I'm really excited about the cryptid episodes and the aliens.
Me too. I'm so excited. I'm not going to lie, I'm a huge fan of vampires, but I'm also really excited about things like flying carpets, like we discussed. And
I'm excited for the Deja Vu episode.
Oh,
I can talk about glitches in the Matrix.
Get in on that one, because I'm like thinking about it.
I know, right?
But I'm like, damn.
So I just feel like it's a good way to give everybody a taste of what we plan on bring to the table for them.
I'm so excited about that.
Yes, I know. Me too.
Werewolves and just a bunch of really fun.
I was expecting you to say werewolves, and then you said flying carpets, and I was like, yeah, that too.
I'm very excited about the fling carpets.
Yeah, I'm excited about Deja Vu just because there's different I'm excited. I can't wait to just talk
something everybody
about
has
it.
Experienced.
I know. And it's it's a feeling, it's a smell, it's a vision.
Oh my gosh.
There's so many different ways you can experience Deja Vu. Obviously, I'm very excited about that episode.
Right.
But today's episode, before I take us down a rabbit hole, sorry, that's my job here apparently.
Right. So we're going to be talking about tarot.
Yes.
The tarot cards, our own personal stories of how we got into the tarot, and just how we interpret the tarot personally, because it is a very personal thing. Right. Every witch, or if you don't identify as a witch, every reader or practitioner, whatever you call yourself, everything is unique to that person, because we're unique.
Right, exactly. And everybody has a different background. Even siblings that are raised in the same household 5 years apart have a different background. Everybody's different, and so you have different things that come to the table with you when you first learn about the cards.
Well, and the thing with the cards,
so you have different takeaways.
Although they have the same, I'm trying to think how to put this into words, and I'll probably be doing that a lot with this podcast. Give me a minute. While the cards have the same definition, let's say you pull the Lover's card. For one person, it could mean love is coming your way. For another person, it could be falling back in love, or the Lover's reversed. For one person, it could be an affair, and for another person, it could be just
a family
relationship,
problems in a relationship.
So, even as the person being read, it's so unique.
It is.
It's
absolutely.
Just, it's crazy.
It is. It really is. And I will talk some more about that as we talk about our own personal experiences with tarot.
Right. So I guess we can get into it.
You want to start off and tell about your personal how
journey
you got
into tarot? Yeah. Well, I've been reading tarot for 7 years, which is crazy to think.
I know.
That's
almost
a decade. Almost a decade.
Most of your adult life.
Right. Exactly. And I've been reading professionally for about 3 years now, I think 3.5. But what really got me into tarot is, as a child, and I will say as a child, I always said, I want to get my cards read. I love it. I want to get my cards read. It looks so cool. I want to go to New Orleans and get my cards read. Well, while I was growing, I know. While I was growing in my pagan beliefs and coming into terms with converting from Christianity to paganism, which I think is a journey many people take. I had reached out to some local pagans because I was like, surely there's other people that believe like
absolutely.
Me. Even though we're stuck in the Bible Belt.
Right.
At least some people. And I met some very lovely pagans. And one of them was a card reader. And I was like, oh, please read my cards. I've always wanted my cards read. And she did. I can't remember what the reading was, so it wasn't that yeah, I can't remember what the reading was. Right. It wasn't that extraordinary. But I had said, oh, that's so awesome. It's so cool that you can do that. And she said, well, why don't you do it? And I was like, what? How can I read the cards? Awesome. And what I think was really cool was she actually had a training deck. I didn't even know they made these.
Yeah, you're the one who taught me about training decks.
It was not the prettiest deck. I'm not gonna lie. It was pretty hideous. It was actual people who had taken their own photos, like a photography, not like a drawing. Oh. And it looked very much like a high school play. Like very immature.
I was into it till you said high school play, and now I think I'm actually more into it.
It was like the high priestess was this woman, and it was like dress up, like somebody in a theater gotcha. Or play. Mm-hmm. But the point is that it was a training deck, and how I got into it was I would just do my readings, and I would do one right after the other. Now, they weren't necessarily accurate for the simple fact that once you
do that many, yeah.
But it was a good way to practice pulling cards and then reading the definitions.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I've come to find that's the best way to learn to do tarot.
Absolutely.
Just continue to do readings on yourself, readings on your person, or on your friends.
Yes, exactly. That's where I get most of my experience.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, the more you practice, the more you start to recognize the cards.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And that's really how I learned. And it was great. I had so much fun. I did a reading on my husband when he came for our first date. And, I remember this reading, which is crazy. I remember his first reading more than mine, because I had pulled... his past was like a breakup. I assumed it was about us. His present was the Queen of Swords reversed. And I was like, oh shit, is that me? Sorry. I was like, the Queen of Swords is like that bitch.
Right, yeah, she's that bitch. I like how exactly the way you said it. She's that bitch. Yes, she is. She's that bitch. Yeah.
And I remember thinking when I pulled that card, oh shit, do I want to tell him? Because what if he interprets it of like, this bitch is...
she's going to be a hardcore crazy ass
right,
motherfucker to deal with. And do I really want that for my life?
I know. But I went ahead and told him anyway. And
honesty is the best policy.
I don't remember his past or his past or future card. I just remember the Queen of Swords backwards, and just like the fear. I was like, oh God, it's me, And it probably was. But my husband and I have been together almost 7 years now. That's crazy. And like a couple months, about 6 months before we got back together, is when I started doing my reading. So that's a good way of how I started practicing, how I remember how many years I've been practicing.
That's a great way to correlate it.
Right, exactly. That's awesome. And I just started collecting decks and just having fun. And I got into the professional aspect of it when I started doing my free readings on Peace, Love, and Tea Leaves Facebook. Yeah. And now I do them with Amber every new moon and full moon.
That's right.
But then, and again, like doing those readings one right after the other, it just helped
really solidify.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's like, again, more practicing, more pulling the cards. They're free, so I'm not like, oh, I have to, I made it very clear in the beginning when I first started doing them, like, hey, I'm still learning, and it just really helps with the remembering. I think with reading, for me, it was remembering what the cards mean.
Yeah. No, I understand.
And now we're doing Witch and Stocking Tarot. So it's just been like a long journey, but a fun journey.
It's been a fun journey.
I love
the cards.
Right.
Yeah.
I love reading. I do. And now I feel like being a tarot reader is a little bit like being a therapist, I think. Because I have given people readings. And And then I get random messages. This is happening in my life, and my husband did this, and I'm like, no, he fucking didn't. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I understand.
Or a best friend gossip person,
right,
like, oh hell no, let me pull a card.
Let me in on that tea. No,
right.
Yeah, it very much is kind of a vibe of like the 90s psychics where like they'd be calling up their 800 psychic and be like, this is what's going on now. Because, like, they had, in the 90s, people had relationships with
Miss
their...
Cleopatra.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Miss Cleopatra or something.
No, he fucking didn't. All right, I'm going to pull this. And I love when I get, like, really intense cards. Like, I pulled the Lovers Reversed. What is happening? Oh, my God. Who is she? Like... But that's part of why I love reading now, is just getting to interact with people. And also getting to give, I don't want to say that I give my own advice, but like pulling the cards and being able to, I don't want to say interpret that advice, but like be that vessel of advice.
Yeah. Like I call it a hot take. Like you get an immediate something when you pull that card and you see that card, and like... you have an immediate reaction to what that card means in this reading.
Right.
You know?
And for me... Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I was just going to say, and I feel like it is appropriate to share that first impression with your, with the person you're reading for. Like, here's everything in the card. This is what I took away from it.
I've gotten to the point with my reading where I no longer question it. I used to be like, oh, is that right? Is that right? Now I just know it's right. Yeah. I don't know if that's a confidence thing or if I just know that the cards are going to tell me what needs to be said. I just don't even question it.
I mean, to me, that's the connection with spirit. Like, you feel like you've built it up enough, and now it's just like when you're learning anything else, in my opinion. It's like, as you're, like math, for example, when you're a young kid learning math, you're very trepidatious about doing the calculations on your own. Mm-hmm. But as you get into the higher math, well, now addition and subtraction comes to you so naturally.
Right.
And it's the same kind of skill, in my opinion. Like, that's what I'm hearing from what you're saying. Like, that's...
And something that I believe, I'm not sure about you, I think most tarot readers believe that, like, the reading doesn't come from me.
Right.
The reading doesn't come from us. It's just
the connection with the universe.
The universe
with spirit.
What are the odds of pulling this card?
Right.
I mean, my husband would say 1 in 75, but fuck him.
Yeah, this isn't about math now. I just used math as an example a second ago.
Fuck you. But what are the odds?
Right. Like, what are the odds with the oracle of pulling fox and then me pulling fox for you?
Right,
you know what
exactly.
I mean? Out of all the cards and being shuffled as many times as it had been shuffled, and then that's the card that comes out for you.
I don't believe in coincidences.
Or like when White Dress just kept throwing itself at me, like 100%.
Well,
and I was like feeling the connection with Tree, but I eventually had to admit that yes, White Dress was also throwing itself at me.
And with tarot, to me, it's one of those things where it's like, do you believe in coincidences or not? I personally don't. I mean, it could be a coincidence that you pulled the card twice, but I don't believe in coincidences. It means something.
Right, yeah.
Not everybody's that way.
Anymore.
Oh, maybe it's a coincidence. Okay, well, I pulled the card 4 times.
Right, yeah. Like, at what point does it stop being a coincidence then?
Right, exactly. Yeah. Or like, you do have skeptics that are like, oh, well, it's just a coincidence. This makes sense. And it's like... How deep do they run?
Well, I mean, I understand because, like, I was a skeptic
this brings
at the beginning.
us to yours. Yeah,
like, for one, I never had a childhood connection of any kind to tarot cards, right? Like, I'm sure I'd seen them in pop culture, but it was nothing that I felt any kind of pull to in any way, shape, or form. Then, as I got older and I... became a pagan individual and started practicing witchcraft and practicing other forms of divination.
And how long has it been again?
Over 20 years.
That's fucking
24 years.
That's fucking awesome.
It's been 24 years.
Sorry, did you not want to say that?
No, that's fine. No, it just always like surprises me. Like,
how long
it's like, it kind of, it's that confidence thing, right? Where it's like, Oh wow, I really do know my shit because I have been practicing for 24 years.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
Exactly.
But like, so as I moved into practicing witchcraft, I then did kind of get interested in tarot, and I wanted a reading like you did, and I got a reading, and it was not a good reading in my opinion at the time. Then I got other readings that again, and this was like years later that I ever got another tarot reading after that first one where I was just like, bitch, please, like, you just wanted my money.
Right.
And so then I had other readings where, again, it's like, you didn't necessarily want my money because this was like by donation kind of readings. But
you didn't know what you were talking about.
Right, it still felt like that didn't make sense to me. And then I had a good tarot reading. I had a tarot reading.
I was there that night.
You were there that night.
I was absolutely.
You were. And it was the craziest reading
your
of
daughter
my life.
was like, did she?
No, she wasn't there. That
okay,
wasn't
okay.
that night.
No, that was a different night.
Was
I think that was with somebody else.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. But this reading was with somebody who had been practicing for a long time, and they didn't really know exactly what that reading was, but as they're telling me what the cards are, I know that that's a fight my husband and I have been having for a fucking decade. A decade! This tarot reading was our fight of a decade. And I was just like, ooh, okay, there's something here. This shit's not fake. It's not fake. And now that I have become a reader myself and I have understood and trusted in tarot, I realized that my janky ass readings, they weren't necessarily janky. It was that reader was putting too much of their own, this is what I think it means, so that it clouded for me what it really meant. And like my first reading I've told you about it was on my honeymoon. I was pregnant with my oldest daughter. And I had told my husband, like, I want a fucking tarot reading. So like we went to the psychic in the little town we were in for our honeymoon. And I got a tarot reading. And I don't remember everything from that reading, but I do remember she said that later in life, I was going to have twins. Well, actually, she said that I was going to have twins, indicating the pregnancy I was currently carrying, which I didn't know yet was false. I was hopeful that she was true because I was dumb and 18. And I thought, oh, twins will be so much fun. Glad I was dumb and didn't get what I wanted because I totally thought it would be fun. And as a breastfeeding mom, I could not have done the two footballs at the same time.
Gosh.
Couldn't have managed. Couldn't have.
Props to you if you can.
Props to you if you can. I just know me as a person after having done breastfeeding for a total of 5 years and doing the two, it would have been too much as a new mom, as a brand new first-time mom. It would have been too much for me. There are a lot of moms that do it and fucking go them. They are awesome. I don't have that kind of, I would have pulled my hair out.
Mine would be the synchronized shitting. Babies do that. I'm so scared.
Oh,
I'm so worried about that. They like, it's like
one doesn't,
like
the other
menstrual
doesn't.
cycle
Yeah.
thing, how you eventually like synchronize. Yeah, babies poop at the same time.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, that one's pooping?
I didn't have that experience. But, you know, in this reading, she told me I was going to have twins and that I was going to have all this family strife with, which the twins thing, I was like, bullshit. And the family strife thing, I was like, everybody has family strife.
Well, how much was it expensive? Was it a pretty expensive?
It was like a $30 to $50 tarot reading. It was more than I've ever paid for tarot since then. That's for sure.
Oh hell yeah!
But in retrospect,
I'm not saying that I wouldn't
right?
pay $50.
Yeah, I'm not right. Exactly, because I mean, there are some readings that are worth it. Especially this was like a 3-card spread for one.
Oh my gosh!
I know, and it didn't make sense to me. But again, I think it's
I feel
because
bad.
that lady was putting
no hate everyone.
too much of her own whatever, and that's why it didn't make sense to me. Because as we've talked about that first tarot reading, because we have talked about this personally before, I wound up having 2 children that their baby pictures look exactly the same. Mm-hmm. My 2 younger daughters, my husband can't decipher who is who in their baby pictures until he starts picking out things in the background of where we lived, or if he sees Gia, then he knows that the baby's Lolly, you know what I mean?
Right.
But if Gia's not in the background as a toddler, then which one is it? He doesn't know. I know because they have slightly different colorations. One is very blonde and the other's like a coppery blonde.
Right.
So that's how I can tell, because the coppery blonde baby, she's got a slightly darker skin tone. The blonde baby has very light, pale skin like me.
I feel that way about Roz and Gia. I can't tell them apart.
That's so funny. And there were a lot of people that couldn't tell them apart. But like Gia and Lolly's baby pictures, it's the same face.
It's like fair-haired children. They're just all the same. You know what I mean?
It's like that Stephen King novel. No, my kids aren't like that. They're wonderful children.
I was going to say, well, you know, Corey is named after that book, and in that book, all of the kids have
they do have really
blonde, fair hair.
That's so funny. I never made that connection.
They do.
But you know, so there's that. But also, my middle daughter had a friend move in with her, so we got our fourth bonus daughter, and they're the same age. Mm-hmm. So in multiple ways that you slice it, you could say I had twins. Mm-hmm. And Roz thinks that her and Lolly's baby pictures are just as similar. I don't. I see Roz has such a slender face in comparison to her sisters. I don't have any problem. But Roz looks at Lolly's baby pictures and goes, is this me or is this her? You know? So very much the same way Corey looks at Gia and Lolly's, you know. So like, there's a lot of ways that twins thing could have come about, but because she put so much of her own, oh, it's the baby, you're pregnant with twins right now. So like, I had no reason to believe in any of these readings that I got until I had that really good reading. And now as a reader myself, I realized maybe those earlier readings weren't so janky. It was the reader that was janky. You know what I mean?
And you have to be careful.
And excuse my use of the word janky. I grew up in the 90s. That is my only excuse.
Well, and you also have to be careful because some readers will tell you what they think you want to hear or what you'll pay to hear. A lot of people will pay to hear you're going to have twins.
Maybe that was the thing. Maybe
like,
I mean,
if somebody's paying $30 to $50 for a reading, I'm not saying I would do this. I just know that scammers will say, okay, I've got to make this $50 worth reading, so I got to tell them some crazy shit like you're going to have twins and you're going to
have all this strife in your family, and then you'll want to come back to me and I can help you with the strife in your family. Again, 90s psychics. I grew up then.
well,
call Miss Cleo, 1-800.
There was one psychic, I can't remember her name, but she used to go on a talk show all the time, but she was a medium. And she had short, blondish, like reddish hair or whatever.
Oh, I vaguely think I know what you're talking about. I watched a lot of talk shows in the 90s.
Yeah, I think everybody did. I did too.
Well, I mean, like, there were times in my life when I had friends like Kelly that's been on our lives, But then there were times in my life where I was just a chunky little kid sitting at home with my dog eating food and watching TV.
Well, yeah. I mean, Maury's on.
Maury, yep.
Jerry Springer's not that fun to me.
Jerry Springer was not one that I watched. I watched Maury Povich. I watched...
There was the girl. Her name was like
what's his face? It wasn't the bald guy?
I love him. He's still doing it. Fucking, oh my God. I get him. Jay. It starts with a J. I
can't remember his name.
He
was actually all the time.
He was actually the bodyguard on Jerry Springer. And then he branched out and was like, Jerry's so fake, so I'm going to start doing... But all of his stuff now is very dark, very true crime. And so he brings in like victims of true crime or perpetrators of true crime. It's great. It's great.
I'm sure it is. Like, me as a kid, that's nothing like what I watched,
No.
In the 90s, I watched like Sally Jesse Raphael and they're Satanists,
Jerry,
things.
Jerry.
Straight out of Addams Family, that scene in Addams Family when he keeps calling, Mr. Adams keeps calling.
Oh my God,
her,
what is her name? Is that
Sally Jesse Raphael?
Yeah, I watched her.
I watch Sally Jesse Raphael all the time, and Maury Povich.
Please stop calling Mr.
And oh my God, there was the one guy, he used to be a reporter, and then anyway, I watched like all of them, not including Jerry. Once I met my husband, I did start watching Jerry because his friends watched Jerry Springer, and it was kind of funny.
Did you watch Judge Judy?
Oh yeah. I watched the judge shows in the 90s.
But like, I used to think as a kid, wow, she's a bitch.
I used to watch Wapner. I grew up watching Wapner in the 80s. So yeah, like once the funnier shit came out in the 90s where like Judge Judy's a fucking bitch and then was Steve Harvey a judge? I don't know. Somebody that was like a comedian, like Steve Harvey was a judge. That was funny.
It wasn't Steve Harvey, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I loved that one.
I can't.
They were so funny, and it's like, my roommate's cat scratched my sofa, and you owe me $500. Bitch, please.
Right? I know. But anyway,
on the scammers. Those scammers, because, talk shows, that does go in hand in hand.
It does.
Yeah, but, I mean, just like, legit talk shows don't reach out to you and be like, do you whatever.
Right.
Real readers don't reach out and be like, oh, I'm gonna sell you a spell to get rid of your stretch marks.
Right. So here's like a couple warnings when it comes to reaching out to tarot readers online, because it is
it's an iffy thing, right?
It is. Now, there are plenty of
so many legitimate readers.
But I will say that me and Amber both, which is funny because we're tarot readers, and we sell, I sell spell candles, oil, we run
I make sigils and sell them. We run occult shops. Yes.
And we had the same scammer message us saying that they could give us a spell for stretch marks, and they could give us a spell to stop skin problems like eczema. Bitch.
Oh my God.
And it's sad because those are people who are desperate,
are.
Or a spell, I can save your marriage for $125.
Yeah. I can't stand those. They really upset me.
It's
I won't
they target,
lie.
I don't want to say they target the weak, but they target the vulnerable.
Right. They
I want to save my marriage. I will do anything to save my marriage, including paying $350 to a random ass person who's going to send me some snake oil.
Yeah. Oh, and I mean, in my day job and in my position with Pagan Pride here in town, I have a lot of people that come to me for things. And when they start telling me the things that they've spent their money on, I'm like, look, I'm not trying to be a jerk.
You were taken advantage of.
You should not be responding to these messages you're getting. Because, this one girl, she lives in, Section 8 housing. And, she's telling me that, this person's selling her all these trinkets and all these things to improve her life. And she's like, when's it going to happen? Asking me.
It's not going to happen.
And I'm like, oh, honey, stop. Don't respond to these people anymore. Don't reach out to them. Don't buy that. Don't go to that. Don't do this.
One of them almost got me. I'm not going to lie. I had a lady reach out to me. I feel so dumb. I had a lady reach out to me. I love your shop. I love your readings. I want to send you a donation of $3,000. I was like, no, this bitch is lying. But I've had people send in donations before. Right. You and I both have.
Yeah, we have, yeah.
So it didn't sound very... I mean, the 3,000 did. But the fact that someone wanted to donate because they enjoyed our content, and my content specifically, because it was for Peace, Love, and Tea Leaves, wasn't out of the ordinary. I was like, what? Is this real? She sends me a video of herself. This is real. I promise. I'm so excited to send that. I love Peace, Love, and Tea Leaves. She says my shop name in her video. And then I was like, oh my God, fuck yeah. I send her my PayPal. Yeah. By the way, I need you to pay $200. Fuck you, bitch.
No.
Damn it. And I was like, oh my God,
damn,
I fell for that.
Suck.
And if I fell for that, can you imagine the people that actually
Well, and it's so funny because, words are such a thing for me. I think you know this, right? I'm one of those people who, reads too much into anything or everything. Or I might not read into it what you want me to read into it. So I get a lot of messages from scammers that are like, I was drawn to your energy. And so I'll be like, oh my God, you like my energy? You want a reading from me? I'm so honored. And they're like, wait, no, that's not what I meant. And I'm like, I am honored that you want a reading from me. I turn the tables. Right. And they're like, wait, what just happened?
Right? No. I've had people contact me and say things like, I love your energy, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, would you like to buy a spell candle? Or I've had people try and message me and I'm like, sometimes I get really frustrated. And I'm like, okay, this is a professional, account. This is my business account. Unless you want to do business and you don't, don't. I want to do business. I want to give you a reading. Just fuck off.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Right? No, I sell readings.
And I play it so dumb. I will either act like, oh, we want to be spiritual friends, or, oh, you want a reading from me. And most of the time I just stop hearing from them, and that's how I know they're scammers. Now, one lady actually just kept responding back, and she does want to be spiritual friends. So I'm
that's awesome.
I don't discount everybody, because she's like, I think I could learn a lot from you, and I think I could teach you some too. And I was like, that's really cool, because that's what I'm all about. That is exactly what I'm here for. So I'm glad I didn't just discount her as a scammer, because I 50-50 really thought that's what it was.
Some readers who are legitimate readers will message you and ask for a reading, but most likely they're not going to, and I think they need to realize that's not a good business.
Yes, absolutely.
It's absolutely not. If you are a reader listening to this and you do reach out to people...
we're not saying you are a scammer. We're just saying, like, in our experience, this is what has happened.
And I imagine many people feel the same way as well. Yeah. And if it works for you, okay, but, like, it doesn't seem very professional to me. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to be careful with what I say.
Right. I mean, everybody has a different level of professionalism as far as what they consider professional, right? And a lot of people they have different backgrounds, so they don't see it as not professional, and would be surprised to find out that some of the general public would find that not professional.
It's just hard to weed out. It's hard to weed out.
It is hard to weed out. Right.
And it's funny because...
And there's a fine line between advertising your services and coming off as somebody who is being false with their intentions.
Well, and the thing is, like, I've had... Oh my gosh, I don't know where I was going with this. So a good way to tell a scammer between a not scammer is spelling. Okay? I'm sorry.
I remember that one.
If they have horrible grammar.
If they don't look like they type generally...
If they say, I want you tarot reading, they're probably scammers. But, I need to stop calling out scammers. I realize that's probably a bad habit of mine, but, like, I had done that.
But it irritates you when you almost get taken advantage of, or when people you care about get taken advantage of. So it's like, and for me, in my position with the community, like, a lot of our community members in our local pagan community, they don't have expendable money.
No.
They don't have a lot of money for just frivolous things. So for scammers to take advantage of their wants and desires, it is very frustrating. And it's frustrating because I feel that I should say, you're being taken advantage of. Right. But I don't want to offend them. And I don't want to make them feel bad about themselves, but I don't want them to be taken advantage of either, because in the end, they're the only one that gets hurt.
Right, exactly.
It doesn't hurt
person
me.
Gets the money.
Yeah, the other person gets money. It doesn't hurt me at all, but it hurts a community member of mine.
Exactly.
And I generally do care about our community members.
Well, I had one one lady that was trying to scam me. I don't remember what I said, but she had said, "Am with Coven right now, can't talk." And it's
I think that was like the same lady.
Did she say the same thing?
I feel like I got that.
And they have multiple accounts. It's not just one. They have multiple.
There's a lot on Instagram, guys.
I'm so surprised some of these people have like 5,000 followers. And it's like, how many of those have you taken advantage of?
Well, they're cloning these great big accounts, and they're taking their pictures. That's one of those things that happened. Because I thought that this really big account had reached out to me for a reading.
Right.
And I was like, mind blown. And then it's like, no, she has somebody who's pretending to be her. And this is the scammer.
Instagram is the worst from what I understand.
It is. It's real bad. I've seen like 8 different pagan accounts that I follow on Instagram, like big ones, that are like, watch out for this one because they have a 1 after their name, or they have an underscore here.
It really fucks people over because you pay other people expecting the other person to give them a reading. They don't get their reading. Who are they going to come after? The one who is the catfishy.
Right,
not
exactly.
the catfisher.
Right.
And their business could suffer because you have somebody, it's a huge mess. Just be careful.
So just be careful and pay attention. Which, speaking of paying attention, brings us into the next topic we wanted to talk about.
Right.
Which is the differences in different tarot decks.
Right. So...
And or rather, the books and how they're written it's something that I really noticed when you and I started doing readings together, because I predominantly had only used my Green Witch tarot deck.
Right.
And you always use your Game of Thrones deck.
Right.
And the more we went through, I would notice that the Game of Thrones deck had such a wide difference in the way it presented the energy of this card versus the way the Green Witch tarot deck presented the same card's energy. Right. And they had a lot of the same keywords.
Oh, yeah.
But it was presented in a different way, and it's all about the writer, which I had never understood before.
Well, when we started doing readings together, and we used 2 different decks, I noticed that they would have almost the same sentence, but the wording would be different, and that would cause confusion. For example, I think the one that's popping into my head would be 4 of Swords, or 4 of.
Was it 4 of Coins?
Excuse me, I burped. No, I think it was 4 of Swords. It's the brand card. Upside down, it means giving up too soon or too early. Whereas with yours, it wasn't necessarily giving up. It was
like changing course.
It was something. It was
the way you handle the situation versus the end results of the situation.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's like
it was similar. It was like the same, but different
it was.
words.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just simply the way that the writer who wrote the book for your deck and the writer who wrote the book for my deck, the way they're presenting that card's energy. Like essentially, the cards have the same energy,
right?
But this writer on my deck was all love and light.
Well, and mine was Game of Thrones.
And so you know that exactly. It's very stark.
Right.
Not calling out a name, just using the word.
You said that the first time you said that, and I thought you were like, well, yes. Like, I really was confused. Like, I thought you were
the second time I said it, I was like, oh, I don't mean the Stark family. I mean the word. It's just very...
It's very blunt and to the point.
It is. It's very
I
much
wouldn't call it
not
rude.
the light side of life.
Right.
It's the hard side of life,
right.
because that is what Game of Thrones focuses on.
Right, exactly.
Whereas the Green Witch stuff, it's very love and light and a nature path.
Well, and the thing about the Green Witch is it doesn't even have the devil. It
has nature, right?
So,
I mean, it's the same card.
Right.
It has the same energy, but it presents as nature because of the energy that card gives off. It can be presented that way because it's nature taking its course. Well, and then
I have a fairy deck as well, which is summer, spring, winter, fall, or autumn versus swords, pentacles, things like that. I don't even know which one's which, if I'm being honest with you. I believe... I think autumn is love. Oh, spring is love, which makes sense because fertility. Yeah. But it's very love and light as well. Yeah. It's very, while it has blunt things like, be careful, this may be coming your way. Right. It's very like, but that's okay, you got it. You know what I mean? Whereas the Game of Thrones is like, watch your fucking back.
You're going to get stabbed a lot.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Right. And it's all just,
it's how you portray it.
Right. It's how it's portrayed. It's all got the same energy. But the word choice and the way it's presented just kind of, it makes it feel different, but it's really not different.
Right, exactly.
But I love that I've had that realization, we've had these talks, because that's why I got Lolly, my youngest daughter, a fan deck for Christmas, because it's from her favorite show, Over the Garden Wall. And so it'll help her better learn the energies for the cards, because I was like, Wart is the magician, and here's the energy for the magician. Does that make sense for Wart? And she's like, absolutely.
Fan decks are so perfect starters, in my opinion. Like with Game of Thrones, I did not have a fan deck at first. I had a thing, and then I had a fairy deck, and then I got my Game of Thrones deck. And when I got my Game of Thrones deck, I realized these are great for beginners, because with Game of Thrones, for example,
you know the show so well.
Right, exactly. For example, I think it was the 4 of Swords. I hope it's 4 of Swords. I'm going to be so embarrassed if it's not, but it's the one that was reversed. It's literally, the picture is Bran surrendering Winterfell.
Yeah.
So it makes the energy go so well with the letting go, surrendering, a fight not worth having. Or, for example, we have the Empress, and it's Daenerys, and she's going to Westeros.
Yes, exactly.
So she's in her ultimate power. Right. Yeah. So fan decks work so well. Because
for learning.
Assuming that they choose
and for
proper
readings.
Pictures.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. They grab the right thing from
Oh, exactly.
that show,
I mean, my emperor was Jon Snow. Hell yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm a little upset with some of the cards, but...
Right. I still, we've talked about where I because I'm not a fan of Daenerys anyway, so I'm I don't feel like she denotes Empress energy, but that's a me thing, not a everybody thing.
Well, and I love the Queen of Coins is... the Tyrell.
Yeah.
Not Marjorie. Marjorie's grandmother.
The grandmother, yeah.
And that makes so much sense because she's got all the money that the Lannisters want. So, of course, she's Queen of Coins.
She's practical, and she is a woman in her own right. Exactly. And, I mean, she was a badass bitch.
Dude, how she died.
Isn't she really killed Joffrey?
Yes, and she says it, too. When she dies, she's like, tell Cersei, I fucking killed your son. Yes, oh...
I know you're murdering me right now, so let me just fuck up your world.
Right. It was sad.
Your inbred son.
Yeah. Sorry. I just love that deck so much. I'm not going to lie. I really want to get a Harry Potter deck. Yeah. I really do. I just...
Like, I won't lie. If there's a Futurama deck and it's like, it revolves around the first 6 seasons, that would be, like, the best deck for me. I know that like the back of my hand.
They had, like, a meme deck, and I want the meme deck so bad. It was for Vine, and I think I sent it to you. The Lovers was the 2 guys chilling in a hot tub 5 feet apart because they're not gay, and I love that they were the Lovers. That shit was so funny.
Oh my god, I don't remember.
And the magician was like that kid that's like, I've got the power of God and anime on my side. It was just...
Oh my gosh.
I love it, but the thing about that deck is you had to buy each card separately.
Oh, that's gross.
Yeah, well, it was crazy art. I mean, like, she spent so much time, like, converting.
That's cool. She would have, don't get me wrong.
But putting all together, I mean, it probably would have been like a $200 deck.
Yeah, I can't.
You know? No, but it was beautiful and it was fun to look at, and it's on Etsy.
Hey, yeah. There you go. That's
I think the Fool was like, I don't know. It was just, all memes. It was great.
It's a great deck. That's awesome. I didn't watch Vine very much, so...
Oh, no. I loved Vine.
I wouldn't be able to get much of the humor.
She's a TikTok person.
was a book person back when Vine was a thing. Like, let's be clear. Like, I knew of Vine, but I still mainly just read in my not working time. Right. Before I even did much, like, social media back then.
That reminds me, I need to take back my library books because they're going to be late. My husband's reading...
Knowledge is power.
Right, my husband's reading Dracula.
That's awesome. I love that book.
And the only, like, copy that they had in our book was an original print in 1890 something, and it's like super falling apart, so he's been like so careful. He's like, oh my god, this is, I can't believe it. And it was in the non-fiction section, which lets me believe and
vampires are real.
Vampires are fucking real. Stay tuned. But anyway, so
that brings us to our readings.
Right, which Amber and I will be offering readings on this podcast, and what's going to be really cool is we're going to be able to call you, and you're going to be talking to us like Miss Cleo.
Right.
But like
over the
legit.
Phone. Yeah, except we call you. Right. Instead of 90s style where you have to like 1-800.
I didn't even think about that until I said it out loud. We need a shirt, which is fucking tarot, and then we've got like the thing. The crystal ball. I love it. I want that.
We do. I still want to find...
call me.
You know, once we're bigger... I want to find a graphic artist who will make a cartoon of us standing back to back, like...
I'm trying to think, like, she had a saying that was, like, the future, or, like, something, like, I don't know. My go-to is the Harry Potter, cast your mind into the future. Cast your eyes into the future. Put that on a shirt, which is fucking terrible.
My go-to is, let's see what the energies have to say today.
I feel like mine's really, like, dramatic and, like, stereotypical, and yours is more professional. I'm like, cast your eyes into the future.
Let's just see what the energies have to say today. And when I'm, like, all by myself, I'm like, Goddess, give me your sight. Let's see what we can do tonight.
Right.
So I also get kind of... myself. I
fancy.
I do. I definitely get fancy. It's more for me. Like when I'm in this room and I've got Fleetwood Mac on and I'm saging and all of a sudden it's been 20 minutes.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
I do my magic in my foyer. I don't know if you can tell. I definitely do.
Definitely. But yeah, and because of the thing we talked about with the difference in book, the book differences, we're going to have the same deck that we're using to read.
So no misinterpretations.
Yep. It'll all be the same words for the same cards.
Right, and we're going to have you on the phone. We're just going to have to sit you right here with us.
You're going to be right here with us, and we'll be talking.
We'll have to invest in one of those speakers. Help us by joining our Patreon.
That's right.
And then it'll be like you're right here with us, and we'll be like, woo. Now, does this make sense to you? Does this make sense? And since
you
this
get to have the interactive back and forth feedback,
and since this is a one-on-one reading, like we can go further in depth with like, is this happening in your relationship?
Right. And whatever you're comfortable with, right?
Exactly. which is something we will end up discussing because, disclaimer, this will be on our podcast, so people will hear it. And if there's something you don't want people to hear, well, that's up to you to not, answer. And you can just say, I would rather not, and we'll move on. Because we can pick up hints. We got this. Exactly. But just let us know it makes sense.
Yeah, but it'll be 6 to 8 card. What's the word? Oh my gosh, a
6 to 8 card reading. That's what I would say.
Spread. That was the that we are specifically making for the podcast.
Oracle card or 2 for advice.
For advice.
We had this,
and
honestly,
that's where
I feel like
it's either going to be a 6 card spread with Oracle or an 8 card spread with no Oracle.
Oh, you mean 6 without Oracle, 8 with Oracle?
Yes.
And that, honestly, for me, when it comes to the Oracle, it's like, are the energies saying I need to pull another card? You know what I mean? But that's just me.
I know.
So, with that being said, how much are our readings, Amber?
They will be $35 for the specific Witches Talking Tarot reading for our specific Witches Talking Tarot spread, where you get to be interactive on the phone with us. And so it's not like our Facebook Lives where you just maybe get to type something to us that we may or may not respond to. Just
exactly. This is one-on-one conversation.
Completely back and forth. And then the world gets to get in on the tea too. Whatever tea you want them to know.
If you don't know anybody that watches Witches Talking Tarot and it's just you, spill it. You know what I mean? Just this
have
is where
fun.
You can get
go
it all
out. That's right. And then you have like this public platform, and
they're like,
"Bitch,
leave him."
Right? They will you'll get everybody's feedback because we know how the fucking internet is, right? Guys?
Exactly. And you know what? If you want to do your reading, I think we haven't talked about this, but it just popped in my head anonymously.
Yeah,
that would be
definitely.
Cool. Yeah. We can do anonymously because we will know your name.
Because we can all have fun creating your name together. Like, maybe you'll be
Ruth
Ann. Right. Oh. I was going to say Lady Brett. Oh. But maybe you'll be Ruth Ann or you'll be Barbara
Natasha.
Natasha.
But yeah, that would be really fun. I'm really excited
about the anonymous idea. That way, if you don't, you
and it's not, just let us know ahead of time, like, hey, I want to stay anonymous. We probably won't disguise your voice because I don't think we can do that.
I don't think we can. Okay. But, with the distortion through technology to technology, nobody will know who you are anyway.
Right, exactly.
But you'll be able to sign up on our website.
Yes.
ambersthecolor.com.
And I'm www.peaceloveandtealeaves.wordpress.com.
Yes. And
when you make your purchase, we'll set up an appointment.
Yes, exactly. And this podcast is brought to you by Amber's the Color and Peace, Love, and Tea Leaves.
Right. We started our own businesses, and then we came together and started doing our tarot, and thus the podcast was born. I'm really excited about this.
And these businesses really have funded the creation of the podcast.
Right, exactly. If you'd like to help fund the podcast and you want to hear more from me and Amber, check out our Patreon. That goes automatically to Witches Talking Tarot.
Yes.
Or if you'd like, check out our bundles, which we do seasonally.
Yes.
And those also fund Witches Talking Tarot.
Yeah. And if you just want to check out what our different occult shops offer, visit our websites and see what we have to offer, because I do altar art and Maddie,
I do hand-poured spell candles as well as spell jars. Amber does oils. So we've got all sorts of really good, exciting things.
Lots of different
and
things.
Definitely be on the lookout. Be on the lookout for a bunch of our upcoming stuff as well, because last year we did a Halloween box and it was basically an entire altar box. I mean,
it was
my altar for Halloween.
Yeah,
it absolutely was.
Absolutely.
And that was like an oil. Oh fuck yeah, I have my oil. I use it when I do tarot readings because it opens your eye. Opens the eye. But it was a candle and a tea and oil, and it was just
prints, stickers, original handmade greeting cards,
spell jars, a spray, just a bunch of good stuff. And it helps support a podcast too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you can see the stuff on our Instagrams. I'm at AmberIsTheColor42 on Instagram.
I'm just at Peace, Love, and Tea Leaves. And I'm also Peace, Love, and Tea Leaves on Facebook as well.
I am Amber is the Color on Facebook.
And you can catch our lives occasionally, once or twice a month. On the Facebook.
On the Facebook.
Well, if you enjoyed this podcast. I don't know.
Definitely leave us a comment on YouTube. Subscribe and follow. If you're listening to us on Spotify or another podcast platform, please subscribe and follow.
Right. Which is Talking Tarot on Instagram. We're all over.
We are all over. And if you would like to support us, like Maddie said, Patreon is the best way to go, and you get extra content. Right. You get, the top tier gets a lovely keychain.
You can't really see it.
You can't see it this far away, but I'm not going to mess with possibly making my microphone go. No. And there's stickers too, which you can't see, but you can see them on our Instagram
and
pages.
And the original Amber's color art.
They are.
They look so
I'm
great.
Very proud.
I'm so glad. They're beautiful.
Logos.
They are.
They're fun.
All right. Well, we will see you in our next podcast where we'll be discussing Imbolc.
Yes.
I pronounce it Imbolc. I know it's wrong. Amber says Imbolc. She's totally right.
It's okay.
We're all different in our practice.
That's right. That's right. We're all different.
All right.
We'll see you next time, guys. Bye.